share a word with us. So please help me welcome Elder Precious Ruffin from Community Bible Church.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm a little nervous, but honored to be before you today. I haven't spoken to many of you. I'm usually pretty quiet, but here I am. As they've mentioned, I'm Precious. I am an elder and on the pastoral team at Community Bible Church of Greater Pasadena, where I've been blessed to fellowship and serve locally in that church for several years now. Professionally speaking, I work for a nonprofit organization where I provide holistic coaching and support to first-generation college students that are attending a variety of colleges across Southern California. Geographically speaking, I live in Pasadena. But full disclosure, I am not a Pasadena resident. I am a Pasadena resident. I am not a native Californian. So actually, I am a Southerner. I consider myself to be a Southern girl through and through. More specifically, I was born in Louisiana, but my childhood was split between Louisiana and Texas. So what that means is that for me, grits are a way of life. And I would love to see more varieties on the shelves of the grocery stores here in Pasadena. And what that also means that one of my flaws is that I can be a bit of a barbecue snob because I have grown up with such great beef brisket that when I leave anywhere else and eat it, I am kind of really particular. But about 8 years ago, I made my transition here to California, and I would say it was a colorful transition here. I ended up in Pasadena. It's the first city I came to in California, and I'm here. Before that, I had never visited California, so my first time here was here. And since that time, I've seen such a transformation in my own life. A lot of great things happened to me. I've seen the Lord work in my life in a lot of great ways, but I also saw some other changes in my life. And though my Southern roots run deep, I do feel like some of my roots have grabbed a hold of some of this California soil and sand, because I won't say I have an addiction, but I have a strong affection for avocado toast that I did not have in the past. And then a couple of years ago, the Lord saw fit that I would win an electric scooter in my work's holiday raffle. And so with the toast and the scooter, I feel like that has cemented my California. So I hope that adds a little bit more credibility as I stand before you today in a room full of people. Some of you may have grown up here. You were born and raised in Pasadena or surrounding areas, or some of you are transplants like myself who have come here from other states or other countries or maybe other cities within California. And we're all sitting in this room today, all of us laboring and serving in our community and wanting this city to flourish. And there are some of you who do not live in this area, but you commute for work here to bring your gifts and your abilities and your love to this city so that we may flourish while you drive away back to your city and lay your head on the pillow every night. And we appreciate you as well. And I do find that it is a little bit intimidating to stand in this space, in this room, with all of you beautiful people, though the Lord has really given me a love for this city and a love for this people, even though, again, my roots still run deep in the South. But today I have the privilege of being able to stand and share what I believe the Lord has given me to encourage you all in this space. And I don't do that lightly, because when I knew that October was coming, I was like, oh, the fall, I was hoping we'd have a little bit more of a breeze by now, because I'm definitely a fall girl. However, I don't think it really hit me about where we would be in our point in our nation when I would be asked to speak. And the weightiness of being able to speak into this city and to the people that labor tirelessly in this city in a time where it seems maybe chaotic, or maybe some would say maybe it's a little bit of a dumpster fire outside. But the message that I believe that the Lord has given me, I believe it has a dual purpose. One, I believe it's an invitation, but I also believe it's a declaration. And it's just a simple message. And I'm standing here to say, look what the Lord has done. Look what the Lord has done. And that may be something that sounds strange when we all wake up and we see the news cycle, we see what's happening in our television. Some of us have loved ones that are in a path of a storm right now. A lot of things are happening in our communities that can be discouraging and demoralizing and cause us to question whether or not the effort that we put in tirelessly in our commitment to coming to the table time and time again, if it's working, if it's working. Some of us have probably not woke up this morning and say, God, look what you've done. But some of us have woke up with questions and asking, instead of God, look what you've done, we're saying, God, we're looking to you, but are you looking at us? Are you seeing what's happening around us? Are you still concerned about what's happening? Is it not fair what's going on? Look at what they've done. Look at what they're doing to our communities. Look at the chaos that is surrounding us. Some of us have been really wrestling with those questions, even if we never verbalize it out loud, because some of us will feel like bad Christians if we did. Yeah. And we're thinking those thoughts and we're pondering in our hearts as we're looking and we're seeing what's happening around us and the people that we're serving and people that we love that are hurting. And maybe we don't have to look outside. Maybe we're looking in our own homes, in our own situations that we've been enduring for a long time, and we're asking God, do you see us? Do you see me? And I would say that these questions and these feelings and these sentiments are not unique to this generation, and they are not unique to this time in history. When we look all across Scripture, we see that there are many men and women of God and people who have wrestled with heavy questions and have asked the Lord, are you there? Do you care? What are you doing right now in our midst? And I want to draw our attention to, really quickly, Psalm 77. And I'm just going to read a couple of scriptures just for context here. And the psalmist Asaph penned, and I'm reading verse 1 through 3 right now. I cry out to God, yes, I shout. Oh, that God would listen to me. When I was in deep trouble, I searched for the Lord, and all night long I prayed with hands lifted toward heaven, but my soul was not comforted. I think of God and I moaned, overwhelmed and longing for his help. So we see here a psalmist saying that I'm in distress and I'm trying to reach out to God, but I'm not feeling any comfort right now. What my situation and the circumstances, whether it's something I'm doing personally or something my nation is feeling holistically here, but there's a distress, there's a discomfort, there's pain that's happening around me and in me. And I love this passage because it goes further down, and I would say the author is so transparent and bold in the sense, because who would write this down, these questions to say in verse 9, has God forgotten to be gracious? Has he slammed the door on his compassion? To be able to pin that and to say to the God who we know his mercies endureth forever and ever, his truth endures to all generations, that his compassions, they fail not, right? Goodness and mercy follow us all the days of our life, right? And in this moment, we're still asking, has God forgotten to be gracious? Has he closed the door on compassion? Because when I look out, I see a lot of hurting people. I see situations and weather storms that I don't have the capacity to physically push back the wind with my hands, but I can pray where I am and ask God for mercy and cry out for people that are in a path of a storm, where I sit here on the West Coast crying out to God, asking, have you closed your door on compassion? And those are bold questions, and I think that if we're honest, we may not have used those exact words, but we've asked those types of questions at certain seasons of our life, and many of us maybe even now. And then the author goes on to say in verse 10, he concluded with all of this that is going on and wrestling with how he feels. He came to what I would say a temporary conclusion in verse 10 to say, this is my fate. Clearly the Most High has turned his hand against me. This is what I've surmised from this situation. With all that is happening around me, surely the hand of the Lord is not on my life or on my city or on my nation at this time. But I think it's important that we don't end there, that we stay with the author until that transition in verse 11 and 12, where he then says, but then I recall all you have done, O Lord. I remember your wonderful deeds of long ago. They are constantly in my thoughts, and I cannot stop thinking about your mighty works. So when I stand here today to say, look at what the Lord has done, and we all know what the headlines look like. We all know what the realities are. We're going to listen to some reports from the city. Some will be good and great, and we'll see a turnaround, but some will be discouraging, because there are similar announcements to which we heard previous months that we're still dealing with certain areas of crime in certain spaces or certain pain points in our community. But we have the opportunity and the invitation to still say, I see what God is doing even in the midst of all of this. Look at what the Lord has done. The psalmist was able to draw encouragement from remembering. He talks about remembering things of long ago, maybe not even things that he personally saw God do in his life, but what God did for his community and for his nation in years past. when God parted the Red Sea and brought his people out of slavery. There are so many testimonies that we can draw strength from in this hour that may not belong to us, but that remind us of the character of God and his strength and his faithfulness to a people, not just those in this room, but for generations that have come before us. This city is over 100 plus years old, and I believe that there are some testimonies that we can look back on and draw strength from in this hour as we're faced and confronted with so many things that will cause some people not to get out of bed. But not the people that love God and understand his character, that knows that we are not facing today's trials absent of a present God. He is right here in our midst, ready to enable us and strengthen us to move forward and to do this work. That yes, it is hard, yes, it is messy, but he will not abandon us in this process. I will look and see what the Lord has done, but I'm not just going to look to the past so I can idolize old movements or things and blueprints that came as successes. Yes, we had some great people before us, and I believe in honoring them. But I know what's past is not the best that God can do, because he is the almighty God, the creator of the universe. He has not run out of creativity. His hand has not been shortened. So I'm expecting God to do greater than the things that we are able to celebrate in the past. I believe that not only for this community, but I believe that for our nation, and I believe that for our own lives in this space. That God is not done with Pasadena, Altadena. God is not done with this city. God is not done with this state. He is not done with this nation. He is not done with his people. God is faithful throughout the generations, and I will stand and look and see what the Lord has done. But not just of old. I will look in the present and see the evidence of God at work in my life. I look out and I see people, and I see some name tags. I know some of you, and many of you I don't. However, I know that beyond that name tag, there is a testimony that I know not of, but I'm looking and I'm seeing a miracle in my midst. When we gather here in this space month after month, can we not walk in this space and say, look what the Lord has done? Because this doesn't make sense. All of these people from all of these environments and sectors and backgrounds and upbringings, and we're here at the table, and as the CCC would say, seeking the well-being of our city in partnership. We do that month after month beyond this space, but in committee meetings and in fellowships and grabbing coffee and all those things, we see the goodness of God unfolded in our lives, and we'll see it again. So I'm not saying today put your head in the sand and ignore what's going on outside. I'm not saying throw church cliches at people who are really desperate and depressed. But what I'm saying is that we are going to face what we are presented with today from a confidence that God has not forgotten us. That God is not done with Pasadena, that God is not done with the CCC, that God is not done with you. And so when I say that this is an invitation and also a declaration, the declaration comes in and saying that the prayer points and the pain points of today will become the testimonies of tomorrow. That I will add to a list, that we may hear some reports today, or we may have some things on our heart, but sooner than later we will be able to say, look what the Lord has done concerning those things as well. And so as I close, I'm going to say again, look what the Lord has done. Thank you.